Hello, world. My name is Scott, or as I affectionately call myself, the bitter old queen. Okay. I am not a therapist or a professional of any type. My stories and experiences are anecdotal only. Okay. I suggest you watch this at 125 speed or faster, and because I talk like an old man now, I'm growing old. So, anyway, this video is about values. And this came from recently. A video came into my feed, and it was about values, and I was kind of puzzled, and so I clicked on it, and then I decided to do a little search, and I found titles like "Find Your Values," "Find Your Core Values," "Find and Live By," and "Why Values Matter," things like that. And I was kind of surprised that people needed coaching on values. So here's my take from a compilation of lists that I got from Google, and my list is in this list is in the description here if you want to take a look. So, but what are your values? Well, values are fundamental, long-lasting beliefs and principles that guide an individual's or a group's behavior. Okay, they function as a personal compass shaping actions and priorities. Okay, so what are your values? Well, these are my core 12 values from the list, okay, that I looked at. So, and these are in alphabetical order. My first one is authenticity, emotional intelligence slash resistance, okay, environmentalism, faith in oneself, humor, learning, love, loyalty, peace, resilience, um, respect, and self-respect. Okay, those are my basic core values. That's how I live my life every day. And but these are also the secondary, which but very important values too. Okay, I added this one, assertiveness. I think it's important for everyone to learn to be assertive, not aggressive, but assertive. So autonomy, balance, beauty, compassion, citizenship, competency, contribution, creativity, determination, fairness, friendships, fun, growth, happiness, honesty, inner harmony, justice, knowledge, leadership, meaningful work and hobbies, openness, optimism, pleasure, poise, responsibility, security, service, stability, trustworthiness, and wisdom. So, and these are less important values to me. Okay. Achievement, adventure, authority, boldness, fame, influence, popularity, recognition, reputation, spirituality, success, status, and wealth. Those are not as important to me as my core values or my secondary values. So, um, and you hear all these days about masculinity as if it's a value. Okay. And I don't think masculinity is a value. I think I would prefer to think of it in the modern definition I would like to see for masculinity would be emotional openness and vulnerability, empathy, emotional intelligence, self-awareness and inner growth, inclusivity and acceptance, active caregiving and nurturing, authenticity, focus on mental and physical health, and being able to take care of one's self. Okay? I think there is nothing less masculine than a man who doesn't know how to take care of himself. Okay? To me, that is like yuck. Okay? So, also when it comes to these kind of things, okay, when people will say, well, let's just agree to disagree. So, well, there are certain things that I can agree to disagree about with people all day long. You know, pizza toppings, what kind of pie you want, whatever. But when it comes to things like equal rights, racism, women's rights, okay, lies, the truth, I mean, we literally need to start making laws about lying, which I know we're a free speech country, but we got to figure this out because these lies are tearing our country apart. Okay. Protecting billionaires is not a virtue or the Epstein class. Okay, not getting to the bottom of the Epstein thing and arresting all these people involved, not a virtue. Okay, imagine the PR these billionaires could create if they actually started doing things like building housing and giving money to the poor and things like that, but they're too greedy. So, stealing. Okay, it's cool to steal now. Okay, and not paying your taxes is stealing. Scamming people too. We have a scam economy. Everything's a scam. Okay, charities are scams now. But the OG of all scams, religion. Okay, someday Christianity is going to be studied in history and anthropology classes, like Greek and Roman mythology is studied today in the classics. Okay, um, there have been over 1,000 religions throughout humankind. Okay, and too many cults to count. But look how many are left. Not that many. Okay. Um, a woman recently proved when she called around to churches with a crying baby, and almost none of them helped her. You know, it shows you where religion has fallen to now. Okay. Most churches need their money just to keep the building afloat, to keep the roof from leaking and the foundation from cracking. Okay. It's just a matter, and the churches are collapsing, organized religion is collapsing. Um, the handwriting's on the wall for they say there's going to be at least 10 to 15,000 churches closing just in the next few years. So mega churches are collapsing too, and there are scandal after scandal in every church out there. Okay, to me, the Bible is a textbook for toxic masculinity and narcissism. Okay, that's the way I see it. I see it. Let me give you an example. When the Great Flood. Okay, to me, that was like God was playing, with a board game, and he wasn't winning. He didn't like the way the game was going, so he just took and he flipped the board, and he, like a spoiled child would do. Okay, and to me, that is not okay. That's not masculine. Okay, that's not worthy of praise. That is the actions of a narcissistic jerk who would do something like that. So, and I don't, like I say, I don't think it's worthy of praise. Okay. Um, these stories, they've been passed around for generations and stuff. Right now, it's tradition versus truth versus faith. Okay, that's really the debate. And people say, "Oh, we won't be able to get our values from church." Well, I'm an atheist, lifelong, and those are my values. You can have values without going to church. Okay, I even celebrate Christmas still, but it has nothing to do with the birth of Jesus. It has to do with Santa Claus and gifts and decorating the house and having a good time. But I don't recognize Jesus's birth is whatever. So, you know, take a comparative religion class or write, I have a playlist in here about religion. Okay. The very first video is about the Egyptian god Horus. He came about 3,000 years before Jesus. Okay. And it's almost the same story. Three kings, stars in the east, etc., virgin birth, the whole thing. Okay. And the thing about the Horus story, it's carved in hieroglyphs, and it's the same story pretty much. Okay. Much of the world is under some kind of a God delusion. Okay. There's a book named The God Delusion, worth reading if you're interested. I would never believed in this. I was forced to go to church. I knew I had to go along to get along and keep my mouth shut. Okay. Um, they tried. My parents, they were trying to, I looked at it this way when I was a kid. They were trying to get me to believe that I was under constant surveillance by some jerk in the sky who could even read my thoughts. Okay. And could strike me dead at any moment if I got out of line. Okay. But I wasn't falling for it. I knew that this was a load of crap. Okay? And religion has always hated a truth teller. I would just look at well, okay, whatever, knowing these people are crazy. Okay. That's what I thought. Okay. I knew if I would have told my parents that I was not a believer, my father probably literally would have tried to beat me into submission. He literally would have lost his shit and would have beat me. Okay? Um, that was what religion taught me as a child. Okay? And that is not virtuous. Okay? To me, religion is a scam. Okay? I hope this helped you find your values and clarify yours. And if it maybe realize that you don't need religion, okay, to have good values and good core values. Okay. So this list that I mentioned, it's in my description. So take a look. So please check out my other posts and videos and playlists and podcasts and stuff. And please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Okay. Thank you so much for coming to court. You've been dismissed. Have a great day.